This is the king-level expert who asked Elder Wang and Elder Yang to tell him to kill the deputy pavilion master. The first impression that the young man gave to Pavilion Master Chenjin was that he was too young. It seems that what Elder Wang and Elder Yang said at that time was not exaggerated at all. This was not the first time that Pavilion Master Chenjin had seen a king-level expert, but Gu Changqing was definitely the youngest among all the king-level experts he had ever seen. Whoosh! Suddenly, another figure appeared in the main hall, next to Gu Changqing. This was an old man in a white robe. This was not the point. The point was the aura on his body. Another king. Pavilion Master Chengxin was shocked. Two king-level experts actually came to Chenjin Pavilion, and looking at the respectful look of the old man in white robe, it seemed that he was a subordinate of some young king-level expert. Pavilion Master Chengxin did not dare to hesitate and directly took out the body of Deputy Pavilion Master Gu Ming from the storage ring. Well, it seems that you didn't take my words as a joke. Gu Changqing nodded. With his strength, it would be easy to confirm whether the corpse was the Deputy Pavilion Master of Chenjin Pavilion. I dare not. The Pavilion Master of Chengxin Pavilion said hurriedly, "What you said just now is true. Senior, are you willing to help my Chengxin Pavilion through the difficulties?" Although the situation facing Chengxin Pavilion is almost a dead end, as long as Gu Changqing is willing to take action. This so-called dead end can be easily solved. A powerful king is almost invincible in the Wanyao South Sea where there is no emperor. Of course it is true, but you have to promise me one thing. Senior, just say it. From now on, Chengxin Pavilion will be my power. When the Pavilion Master of Chengxin heard this, his heart sank slightly. He knew that there was no pie in the sky, but the next words of Gu Changqing made him stand there in a daze. In return, I will help you break through to the realm of Xuanwang. Originally, Gu Changqing only planned to pass by here and leave after confirming that the deputy leader of Chengxin Pavilion was dead. But later, Gu Changqing changed his mind. The Gu family where Gu Qinger was located was in the Langxi Islands. After he left, the Gu family of Wangqin Island did not even have a calamity realm. In this vast South Sea of 10 Zhaozhen monsters, it could be wiped out at any time. If there was the protection of Chengxin Pavilion, it would be much safer. After these days of contact, Gu Changqing also had a lot of good feelings for Gu Qinger, a sister with the same blood as himself. Perhaps influenced by his father since childhood, Gu Changqing attached great importance to the friendship of the same clan. His father told him since childhood that if he met other branches of the Gu family in the future, he would help them if he could. There are not many descendants of the Gu family saints who are still alive. It is also his father's long-cherished wish to let the Gu family return to the top of the spiritual domain. That's why Gu Changqing said this. It's more than enough to let the master of Chengxin Pavilion break through the king realm, and Chengxin Pavilion to be promoted to the king-level force and protect the Gu family of Wangqin Island. And with Chengxin Pavilion around, it's much more convenient for me in the future. I don't have to buy some medicinal materials, just go to the Wanyao Sea and Haiyu Island. I can let Chengxin Pavilion do it for me. Help you break through the Xuanwang realm? A simple sentence made the master of Chengxin Pavilion widen his eyes. It's not that he doesn't believe it, although Gu Changqing is in the king realm and so young. It's a bit too much to say that he can help others break through the king realm. Not long ago, I was a half-king perfect, Bai Heng said simply beside him. But this sentence revealed a lot of information. Not long ago, it was a half-king perfect, and now it's the king realm. In other words, the white-robed old man beside Gu Changqing was the one who helped the young man in front of him to be promoted. Chen Yun, meet the master. After struggling for a while, the master of Chengxin Pavilion knelt down in front of Gu Changqing. For the master of Chengxin Pavilion, he had no choice at all. Without Gu Changqing's help, Chengxin Pavilion could not withstand the siege of Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect. He was not afraid of death, but he could not watch countless elders and disciples of Chengxin Pavilion die. Moreover, if Gu Changqing could really help him break through the king realm, then joining Gu Changqing's army would not be a bad thing for him, but a great opportunity. Even if Gu Changqing could not help him advance to the king realm, it would not be too difficult for Chengxin Pavilion and even himself to follow a king realm expert, and such a young king realm expert with great potential. Next, I will help you break through the king realm, but don't make my business public for the time being. Don't scare them away. The they in Gu Changqing's mouth are naturally the Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect block the sea area around Chengxin Pavilion. After you break through the king realm, Chengxin Pavilion will be promoted to a king-level force. The people from the Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect are just right for sacrificing the sword. 2 days later, the Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect strongmen arrived at the city. If it weren't for the sect's formation, the strongmen and disciples of the two forces would have killed the mountain gate long ago. From the elders to the disciples of Chengxin Pavilion, they held weapons and were ready to fight. With their eyes full of the intention of going to death, vow to live and die with the sect. This scene made Gu Changqing slightly moved. Chen Yun, why don't you get out and die? A loud shout came from the sky, and 3 figures stepped on the void and appeared above Chengxin Pavilion. Although the semi-king strongmen could not fly in the air like the king realm, they could still stay in the air for a short time. The 3 people were none other than the leader and deputy leader of the Jingxia sect, and the leader of the Wanhua sect. The appearance of the 3 half-kings boosted the morale of the people of the Jingxia sect and the Wanhua sect, and they began to shout, An old man with white hair walked out of the Chengxin pavilion. He looked at the three people in the air with a solemn look, and the aura of the half-step king realm on his body was not concealed. Grand Elder. Everyone in the Chengxin pavilion exclaimed. The old man with white hair was not the leader of the Chengxin pavilion, but the Grand Elder of the Chengxin pavilion. Grand Elder. He has broken through. Great. Now we have 2 half-kings, but it's still not enough. No one expected, including the people in the Chengxin pavilion, that the Grand Elder would actually break through at this moment. But what is despairing is that even if the Grand Elder broke through the half-king realm, the situation of this battle could not be reversed. Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect not only have 3 half-kings, but 2 of them are in the late half-king stage. Damn it. If it weren't for the damn Wanhua sect, how could my Chengxin pavilion be afraid of the Jingxia sect? The people of Chengxin pavilion were all a little unwilling. Oh, you old thing, I thought you were going to be buried soon, but I didn't expect you to break through to the half-king stage. This is a little surprising to this sect master, but a mere half-king who has just entered the stage can't change anything. The sect master of Jingxia sect looked at the great elder of Chengxin pavilion whose aura had reached the half-king stage, and his eyes also revealed a look of surprise. If it weren't for the alliance with Wanhua sect, his Jingxia sect might not be able to swallow Chengxin pavilion. Unfortunately, there is no if. In order to convince the master of Wanhua sect, he paid a huge price. Today, Chengxin pavilion must be destroyed. Grand Elder, the 3 people, Chengxin pavilion master, Gu Changqing, and Bai Heng, who were hiding in the void, were also paying attention to this place, but they were not in a hurry to show up. The aura of the Chengxin pavilion master was no longer a half-king realm, but a real Shanwang realm. With the help of the Sanyun breaking barrier pill, Chen Yun encountered almost no obstacles and successfully passed the King Realm Thunder Tribulation. But the Great Elder's breakthrough to the Half-King had nothing to do with Gu Changqing, but he himself burst out with unprecedented potential when facing a desperate situation. Someone else is here. Today is really lively. As the 3 people sighed with their consciousness, another strong aura was approaching Chengxin Island quickly. Another half-king? It doesn't matter. As many as come today. We will kill as many as possible. Gu Changqing shrugged. While the 3 were talking, the owner of the aura had already arrived above Chengxin Pavilion. Oh, it's so lively. How can we miss the fooling sect in such a lively scene? The man's voice was a little gloomy, giving people a very uncomfortable feeling. His appearance also made everyone present, including the 3 half-kings of Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect, frown. Fooling sect. These words are not unfamiliar to the people present. Chengxin Pavilion and Jingxia sect each have a late half-king, which is considered to be a relatively powerful existence among the first-class forces in Wanyao, Nanhai. The leader of Wanhua sect has just broken through the late half-king not long ago, and the backbone force is not as good as Jingxia sect and Chengxin Pavilion, so it is weaker. As for the fooling sect, it is stronger than Chengxin Pavilion and Jingxia sect. The leader is in the late half-king, and in addition, there is a deputy leader in the middle half-king. Master Kang, what brings you here? Master Jingxia signaled the deputy master and the master of Wanhua on both sides of him to stay calm, and did not know the intention of Master Fielding for the time being. I won't beat around the bush with you. Fooling. Want the spiritual mind of Chengxin Pavilion on Qianming Island? Master Fielding smiled and continued. As long as the 2 masters agree, I will not interfere in today's affairs. Qianming Island is the largest spiritual mind mining site of Chengxin Pavilion. No doubt about it. To take the spiritual mine on Qianming Island is equivalent to directly taking away nearly 1/3 of Chengxin Pavilion's assets. Upon hearing this, Master Jingxia's face was gloomy and a little scary. This fooling sect has a really big appetite. In one sentence, it wants to take away nearly 1/3 of Chengxin Pavilion's property. What if I don't agree? Master Jingxia's words instantly made the atmosphere tense. The leader of Fuling sneered. If you don't agree, then I may have to stand on the same side as Chengxin Pavilion. The elder of Chengxin Pavilion has broken through to the semi-king level. Together with the leader of Chengxin Pavilion, plus the 2 semi-kings of my Fuling sect, there are 4 semi-kings. The leader of Fuling was full of threats. And below, everyone in Chengxin Pavilion looked a little unhappy. Chengxin Pavilion, after all, is a big force, one of the 2 first-class sects in Langxi Islands, but now it is like a fish on the chopping board, at the mercy of others. Okay, I agree. The leader of Jingxia almost gritted his teeth and said these words. He was very angry, but he had no other choice. As the leader of Fuling said, if Fuling sect really joined forces with Chengxin Pavilion, it would be troublesome. So straightforward. This sect leader likes straightforward people like you. Don't worry. This sect leader is definitely not a person who takes benefits and does nothing. Let this sect leader deal with the master of Chengxin Pavilion. While chatting and laughing, the benefits of Chengxin Pavilion have been divided up. Everyone in Chengxin Pavilion felt depressed again. The Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect have forced Chengxin Pavilion into a desperate situation. Now there is a fooling sect that is not weaker than Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect, or even stronger. This is God wants to destroy Chengxin Pavilion? Everyone in Chengxin Pavilion is desperate. Everyone. Dividing up the benefits of Chengxin Pavilion in front of Chengxin Pavilion? Isn't it a bit too disrespectful to Chengxin Pavilion? The figure of the master of Chengxin Pavilion appeared in the air, looking at Master Fueling and Master Jingxia sect from afar, his voice flat. Master! The elders and disciples of Chengxin Pavilion shouted one after another. Chen Yun. You finally showed up. I thought you were too scared to come out. At this time, the leader of Jingxia's sect did not forget to mock. The years of grievances between you and me are finally coming to an end. The leader of Chengqin Pavilion looked at him and said with some emotion, yes, it is coming to an end. Looking at the leader of Fuling sect, Leader Fuling, there is no grudge between you and me. There has never been any conflict between my Chengqin Pavilion and your Fuling sect. I will give you a chance. Yes. If you leave now, I won't care about what happened today. The leader of Fuling looked at Chen Yun as if he was looking at a fool. Do you think it's possible? You will regret it. The leader of Fuling almost laughed out loud. Is Chen Yun's brain probably sick? Didn't he understand the current situation? Just when the leader of Fuling wanted to say something, a terrifying pressure that was above everyone present burst out from the main body of Chengqin Pavilion. Buzz! At the same time, the figures of Gu Changqing and Bai Heng also appeared in the sky above Chengqin Island, forming a triangle with the leader of Chengqin Pavilion. Surrounding the leader of Fuling and all the people of Jingxia sect Wanhua sect, the three King Realm Masters released their pressure at the same time. The terrible aura made the faces of the leader of Fuling, the leader of Jingxia sect, and others change wildly. This aura, King Realm. This is definitely the pressure of the King Realm. This Master Chengqin actually broke through to the King Realm. Besides that, there are two other King Realm Masters. The four Semi-King Masters roared in their hearts, their eyes full of disbelief. Master Chengqin and the others knew that the late Semi-King Realm was still a long way from the perfection of the Semi-King Realm. So how could he break through to the King Realm? How is this possible? Besides that, what about the other two King Realm Masters? The three King Realm Masters blocked all their retreat routes in 3 directions, and there was no possibility of escape. At this moment, not only the leader of Fuling sect, the people of Jinxia sect and Wanhua sect, but even the elders and disciples of Chengqin Pavilion were stunned. The master actually broke through to the King Realm. Despair instantly turned into ecstasy. I told you that you will regret it. The voice of the Pavilion Master Chengqin was flat, and he attacked instantly. The power of heaven and earth surged wildly, turning into a huge spiritual hand, and slapped the 4 people of Fuling sect? No. The 4 Semi-King Masters wanted to escape, but their speed was no different from the turtle speed in the eyes of the King Realm Masters. Boom! With one palm, countless elders and disciples of Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect were all turned into blood mist, and not even a complete corpse was left. The attack of the King Realm was so terrifying. The gap between the Semi-King and the real King Realm was too big. Even if the Semi-King was perfect in front of the real King Realm Masters, it was just a slightly larger ant. Even if the Pavilion Master Chengqin had just entered the King Realm, the early stage of Xuanwang, and his realm had not yet been consolidated, it was easier to slap a few Semi-Kings to death than to pinch a few ants to death. Dead. Master Fuling, Master Jingxia sect. Below, the high-level officials and disciples of Chengqin Pavilion were all numb. That was half a step into the King Realm. Each of them was a famous strongman in the Langxi Islands and even the nearby seas. But in front of the Pavilion Master, they were so vulnerable. Is this the King Realm? Too terrible. The people of Jingxia sect and Wanhua sect, who were leaderless, began to flee in all directions. Don't leave anyone behind. Gu Changqing spoke slowly. Gu Changqing was never merciful to his enemies. Yes, Master. Master Chengqin Pavilion. Bai Heng. The 2 King Realms responded and attacked at the same time. In just a moment, all the invading enemies were wiped out. And the words Master by Master Chengqin Pavilion, Master and Bai Heng shocked everyone in Chengqin Pavilion below. As for Huang Yingying, Elder Wang, Elder Yang, and others, they had just recognized Gu Changqing, the peerless swordsman who killed the king-level monster with 1 sword on the sea that day. The Pavilion Master actually called him Master? Everyone in Chengqin Pavilion thought they had heard wrongly. After solving everything, Gu Changqing ordered Bai Heng, go to Fuling sect and destroy it. Leaving trouble behind is not Gu Changqing's style. When dealing with enemies, Gu Changqing's principle is to destroy them all. I obey the order. Bai Heng clasped his fists and took the order, and flew away. In less than an hour, Bai Heng's figure had already appeared at the gate of Fuling sect. At this moment, the Fuling sect did not know what had happened, and was directly hit by Bai Heng's palm from the sky. And the island where the gate was located was sunk into the deep sea. Everyone in the Fuling sect, even the deputy leader who was in seclusion in the middle stage of the Half-King, was beaten into pieces by the shocking palm before they understood what was happening, and sank into the vast sea along with the island. Everyone who witnessed this scene was shocked. The Fuling sect is one of the most powerful sects in the sea area. Even the 2 major sects in the Langxi Islands, Chengqin Pavilion and Jingxia sect, are weaker than the Fuling sect. However, such a sect that seems to be extremely powerful in the eyes of the world, with thousands of disciples, was hit and buried in the sea, and no one survived. I'm afraid it won't take long for this matter to spread throughout the Wanyao South Sea. The witnesses were shocked. Chengqin Pavilion. The Pavilion Master Chen Yun has already explained to the great elders and other senior leaders of the sect, including the matter of joining Gu Changqing. In the future, Chengqin Pavilion will also become a force under Gu Changqing. They didn't have much resistance to this, and they were just endlessly grateful to Gu Changqing. If it weren't for Gu Changqing, Chengqin Pavilion would have been destroyed, and they wouldn't have survived. Now, with the help of Gu Changqing, not only did the Pavilion Master break through the King Realm, But Chengshin Pavilion would also be promoted to a king-level force. This was something that the Great Elder and the Chengshin Pavilion's high-level officials had never dared to think about before. But now it has come true. The entire Wanyao Nanhai is too big. There are tens of thousands of sects and forces, big and small, even half king-level forces. There are quite a few, but king-level forces? There are only a dozen or so in the entire Wanyao Nanhai. Although the Pavilion Master is not too old, there is still a glimmer of hope that he can break through the King Realm in the future. But it's just a glimmer of hope. How can it be so easy to break through the King Realm? Under the King Realm Thunder Tribulation? I don't know how many withered bones and dead souls have fallen. Gu Chongqing was able to help Pavilion Master Chen Yun break through the King Realm. It is no exaggeration to say that this kind of means is beyond compare. In addition, Gu Chongqing is very likely to be a genius on the spirit list. In the future, he will most likely be an emperor. It is definitely their honor to follow such a super genius. As for Gu Qinger, as Gu Chongqing's sister, she was directly made the Saint of Chengshin Pavilion by Pavilion Master Chengshin, the only saint. Gu Qinger held her little head up and was a little confused. Not long ago, I was just a small outer disciple of Chengshin Pavilion, not even an inner disciple. Now, I have directly crossed the inner gate, the core, the true teaching, and became the Saint of Chengshin Pavilion. And Chengshin Pavilion, those disciples who already knew Gu Qinger were so envious, especially some inner core disciples. They felt mixed emotions. After the dust settled, Gu Chongqing felt that he was about to break through, so he began to retreat in Chengshin Pavilion. The master of Chengshin Pavilion began to consolidate his realm, prepare to welcome congratulations from all directions. In just a few days, the Battle of Chengshin Pavilion spread throughout the entire Wanyao South Sea, and the news that the master of Chengshin Pavilion broke through the King Realm, and that there were suspected to be 2 other King Realm masters in Chengshin Pavilion could not be concealed. And it soon spread. In an instant, countless well-known forces and sects in the nearby sea area sent people to congratulate. Chengshin Pavilion has also officially been promoted to a king-level force, becoming one of the top sects in the Wanyao Nanhai. The king-level force closest to Chengshin Pavilion is a force called Qingluan Palace. Qingluan Palace, one of the old king-level forces in Wanyao Nanhai, has been passed down for 10,000 years. The current palace master is not only a king, but also a super strong man who has reached the perfection of the Xuanwang realm and is about to enter the Tianwang realm. The deputy palace master of Qingluan Palace came in person to congratulate and express his friendly intentions. This deputy palace master is also a Xuanwang realm strongman. It is enough to see the importance of Qingluan Palace. If it was just a king who had just broken through, it would not be worthy of Qingluan Palace, but in the eyes of the Qingluan Palace master, this Chengshin Pavilion is a little unusual. Chen Yun, who should not have broken through the king realm, forcibly crossed the level of half-king perfection and directly promoted to the king realm. Coupled with the other 2 mysterious king-level masters in Chengshin Pavilion, all of this reveals that it is not simple, and also puts a layer of mystery on Chengshin Pavilion. Taking advantage of this momentum, the master of Chengshin Pavilion directly announced that a ceremony will be held in a week to recruit disciples. Chengshin Pavilion has not many disciples, and many have died during this period, making it even fewer. The number of disciples of the king-level forces that have been promoted now is really a bit small. Looking at the major king-level forces, which one does not have tens of thousands of disciples? Even tens of thousands. As soon as the news came out, the geniuses inside and outside the Langxi Islands could not sit still. Although their talents may not reach the level of disciples of king-level forces, Chengshin Pavilion, as a newly promoted king-level force, certainly does not have higher requirements than other old king-level forces. They all want to try their luck. What if, once they are accepted into the sect, disciples of the king-level forces, even if they are just outer disciples, walking outside, who dares not look up to them, who dares to offend them easily? Wangqin Island. Outside the Gu family mansion, several Gu family members are getting ready to go, and the head of the Gu family is seeing them off. These young men and women are not only Gu family members, but also the most talented among the younger generation of the Gu family. This is your first time out of the island. The outside world is different from Wangqin Island. You have to listen to the words of the third elder. Understand. Gu Qian, the head of the Gu family, combed his second daughter's hair and said softly, Gu Qian, the head of the Gu family, has no sons, only 2 daughters. The eldest daughter, Gu Qinger, entered the Chengshin Pavilion a few years ago. Although she is only an outer disciple, more than half a year ago, Gu Qinger wrote a letter back saying that she was going to impact the inner gate. I don't know how she is now. The second daughter, Gu Sire, is only 15 years old now, but her talent is not bad, even better than Gu Qinger. If it were in the past, it would not be a problem to enter the Chengshin Pavilion, and there would not even be a need to give gifts and go through the back door. But the current Chengshin Pavilion is different from the past. When Gu Qinger was sent to Chengshin Pavilion by him, it was only a half-king level force, but now Chengshin Pavilion is a real king level force. One word difference, a world of difference. After being promoted to a king level force, the requirements for Chengshin Pavilion to recruit disciples will naturally rise. Therefore, Gu Tian is still not sure whether his second daughter can successfully pass the assessment and enter Chengshin Pavilion. But you have to try. That's why this farewell happened. Not only Guxier, but also several talented young men in the clan also want to give it a try. If they are selected, if they pass the assessment and become disciples of Chengshin Pavilion, it will be a step to heaven. And there are countless people who hold such ideas in the Langxi Islands. Guxier looks very cute, with a porcelain doll-like face and rosy cheeks, which is somewhat similar to Gu Qinger. She nodded her head seriously to her father's warning. Dad, I know. I will listen to the third elder. Don't worry. Patriarch. We will definitely keep a low profile and not cause trouble. Several other children of the Gu family also said so. Gu Qian nodded with satisfaction, stroked his beard, and continued. By the way, remember to find your sister first? I don't know if your sister has been promoted to the inner gate now. If she has been promoted to the inner gate, maybe there is some way to help you. When you arrive at Chengshin Pavilion, try to contact your sister Qinger first. Sister. Well, Xier hasn't seen sister for more than a year. Guxier's beautiful eyes revealed longing. The two sisters have had a good relationship since childhood. Guxier has always been Gu Qinger's little follower until Gu Qinger was sent to Chengshin Pavilion a few years ago. After saying goodbye, several people, led by the third elder, slowly walked towards the port. Next, they will take a sea ship to Chengshin Island, where Chengshin Pavilion is located. To participate in this recruitment ceremony, the sea ship has been sailing in the archipelago for nearly 2 days, and it is very close to Chengshin Island, where Chengshin Pavilion is located. Guxier and others kept in mind the words of the head of the family. Don't cause trouble when you go out. No one knows who the Gu family is outside Wangshan Island, and no one will give face to the Gu family. The third elder who was responsible for escorting several people was only the 8th level of the true spirit. It was okay to be in Wangshan Island, but looking at the entire Langxi Islands, it was nothing at all. Fortunately, after 2 days, several people kept a low profile. In order to avoid trouble, they rarely left the room, so they did not have any disputes with others. This sea ship sailed to Chengshin Island, where Chengshin Pavilion was located, so most of the people on the ship were young people, all heading for the Chengshin Pavilion's recruitment ceremony. Most of them were like Guxier and the others, who wanted to try their luck. On this day, they were about to arrive at Chengshin Island, and the third elder let the little guys out for a walk. They had been stuck in the inn for 2 days, and they were almost sick, especially Guxier, who was going out to sea for the first time. She looked around excitedly, and was very curious about everything around her. Third elder, what kind of fish is that? It's so beautiful, colorful, like a rainbow. Third elder, what is that? It's so big. Will it really not attack our merchant ship? Like a curious baby, Guxier asked while walking, very excited. The eldest elder was overwhelmed by such questions. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. These days, they have not dared to leave the inn easily, and a large part of the reason is because of Guxier. Guxier inherited the good genes of the head of the family and her mother, and had a face that brought disaster to the country and the people. No worse than her sister Gu Qinger. Beauty is a disaster. In this world, it is never just a saying. Countless beautiful women were captured to be used as cauldrons, concubines, etc. And similar incidents have never been rare. The third elder's worry was not without reason. There were too many rumors of such things happening. It was not until now that they began to enter the area where Chengshin Island was located that he dared to let Guxier go out for a walk. As expected, Gu Kaier's appearance soon attracted the attention of many people around. Some people even had some bad intentions in their eyes, especially after seeing that the strongest among the few people was only the third elder, who was only at the 8th level of the true spirit. Fortunately, now that they have begun to enter the area of Chengshin Island, these people dare not cause trouble here no matter what bad intentions they have. Mr. Kuei is here. Guxier and others had just stepped into the hall and found a restaurant to try some dishes and wines that were not available on Wangshan Island. When they heard a noise coming from the surrounding, the eyes that were originally focused on Guxier moved to the entrance of the hall. There, a handsome young man holding a folding fan was walking slowly into the hall, and around him, there were a group of flatterers. Who is he? A young man from the Gu family asked blankly. At this time, it seemed that everyone in the hall knew this young man, except for them. Yes, they have not dared to come out in the past few days, and naturally they don't know about the celebrities on the ship. You should have rarely come out after boarding the ship, right? This is Mr. Kuiyong. His origin is not ordinary. He is the young master of the Kui family of Changyuan Island. A woman at the next table looked at Kuiyong, who walked into the hall with a little admiration. Seeing that Guxier and the others didn't know him, she explained to them. Changyuan Island, Kui family. Guxier and the others were still confused. Among the few people, Guxier was going out to sea for the first time, and she didn't know anything about things outside Wangshan Island. Although it was not the first time for the other children of the Gu family to go to sea, it was not much different. They knew very little about some large islands and major forces in the Langxi Islands. You don't know Changyuan Island and Chui family. A bunch of bumpkins. Originally, the woman just wanted to show off her knowledge in front of Guxier and others. But who knew that they were just a few bumpkins? She immediately lost her desire to show off. What's the point of showing off with a few bumpkins? Vanity can't be satisfied at all, and it's a waste of time. The children of the Gu family were a little embarrassed. They really didn't know. However, the third elder had heard of the Kui family and Changyuan Island. He immediately took over the woman's words and explained to Gu Xie and other juniors. There are many islands in the Langxi Islands. The two largest islands are occupied by Chengsan Pavilion and the former Jingxia sect. In addition to the two large islands, there are 5 medium-sized islands. Chongyuan Island is one of the 5 medium-sized islands, and the Kui family is the most powerful family in Chongyuan Island. There are no less than 10 robbery realm masters, and the Kui family's grand elder is also an elder in Chenjin Pavilion. The younger generations of the Gu family swallowed their saliva and were a little shocked. There are no less than 10 robbery realm masters, and there is also a grand elder who serves as an elder in Chenshin Pavilion. Such a family power is one of the top forces in the entire Langxi Islands, except for Chenshin Pavilion. No wonder the woman called him a bumpkin. Anyone who has been to sea and has some experience will know the top family power in the Langxi Islands, such as the Kui family. Seeing the shocked faces of the younger generations of the Gu family, the woman's vanity was satisfied a little. With a supreme elder serving as an elder in Chengxin Pavilion, Master Kuai may not even need to take the assessment test and can directly enter Chengxin Pavilion. I'm really envious. It's not just the woman who is envious, everyone in the hall who doesn't envy. Today's Chengxin Pavilion is a genuine king-level force, even if the entry requirements are not as good as some other old-fashioned king-level forces. They are not low. How many people went to participate in the Chengxin Pavilion's recruitment ceremony this time? More than tens of thousands. But in the end, it is estimated that only a few hundred people can enter Chengxin Pavilion. Now, Gukir and others finally understood why there were so many flatterers around Kui Yong. With the status of this Master Qiwen, if he can be licked well and licked to his heart's content, then maybe he can get a place to enter Chengxin Pavilion directly without assessment. To be honest, Gushir and others were also a little envious. It's good to have an elder in the clan serve as an elder in Chengxin Pavilion. You don't even need to take the test and can directly become a disciple of Chengxin Pavilion. Suddenly, a young man from the Gu family uttered a light and looked at the young man who was standing beside Cui Young with a face full of attentiveness and flattery and surprise. Isn't that Changping? There are 3 major families on Wangchen Island. The Shu family, the Chang family, and the Gu family where Gu Qinger and Gu Xie are from. This young man from the Gu family is no stranger to Changping, the second young master of the Chang family, who also comes from Wangchen Island and is seen everywhere. Upon hearing this, the other young men from the Gu family and Gu Xie also looked at Cui Young's side, and as expected, they saw Changping's figure. It's really him. A young man from the Gu family snorted coldly. How can the second young master of the Chang family, one of the 3 major families on Wangchen Island, be a dog licker for others? There was some contempt in his voice, and this sentence was also heard by the woman at the next table. Upon hearing this, she glanced at the young man from the Gu family and smiled disdainfully. What's wrong with being a licker? For someone like you, I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to lick you. The young man of the Gu family stood up angrily, but was slapped back to his seat by the 3rd elder. This woman is obviously an admirer of Mr. Kui. Moreover, although the words are unpleasant to hear, it is indeed the truth. There are many people in the hall who want to please Kui Young and want to lick him, not just the few people around him. But even if others come up, Mr. Kui may not pay attention. Although there was no conflict in the end among the Gu family, there was also a lot of noise. Kui Young glanced over here. This glance made Kui Young unable to look away instantly, and his eyes were fixed on Gu Xie's pretty face. She is so beautiful. Kui Young sighed from the heart. As the young master of the Kui family, he has never lacked beauties around him, but Gu Xie's beauty has surpassed all the women he has seen so far. Changping, who was beside him, saw that Kui Young seemed to be frozen and could not walk, and was suddenly confused. He looked along Kui Young's line of sight and was suddenly stunned. Gu Xie? How could he be unfamiliar with Gu Xie? The beautiful sisters of the Gu family have fascinated countless young talents on Wangchen Island. Those who want to marry her can almost go around Wangchen Island. Changping is one of them. It's a pity that neither Gu Qinger nor Gu Xie have any interest in him. Seeing Kui Young staring at Gu Xie, he knew what was going on. He thought, Master Kui, are you interested in Gu Xie? Kui Young retracted his gaze and looked at Kui Young beside him, and asked, Gu Xie, her name is Gu Xie. Do you know her? Changping nodded frantically. Yes, of course I know her. She and I are from Wangchen Island, so how could I not know her? Come on, Master Kui, I will introduce you to each other. Changping was extremely excited. This might be his chance. The chance to enter Chengxin Pavilion directly without taking the assessment. It's true that he likes Gu Xie and even Gu Qinger, but neither Gu Xie nor Gu Qinger has ever looked at him straight in the eye. I can't get her anyway, so why not? It's natural to get to know such a beautiful woman in the world. Let's go. Kui Young took a deep look at Changping and gave him an admiring look, and it was this look that made Changping very excited. On the other side, Gu Xie also saw Kui Young and Changping walking toward them, and thought to herself that something was wrong. Be patient. We have already entered the Dust Heart Island. Even if he is the young master of the Kui family, he should not dare to do anything too outrageous. The 3rd elder frowned and comforted them. Xie, I didn't expect to meet you here. What a coincidence. Beside Kui Young, Changping spoke first, as if he was very familiar with Gu Xie. but in fact, the two of them were just acquaintances. It's quite a coincidence. Guxier said indifferently. Yes, she envied Kui Yong. Envy Kui Yong for entering the Dust Heart Pavilion without taking the test. But envy does not mean that she has any good feelings for Kui Yong. Although Kui Yong tried his best to cover it up, Guxier could still see a hint of lust in his eyes. She had seen this kind of eyes many times, and she was extremely disgusted. Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Kui Yong from Changyuan Island. Changping was interrupted by Kui Yong before he finished speaking. Hey, why are you talking about this? My name is Kui Yong. May I ask your name? Changping's introduction sounded like he was deliberately showing off. Besides, who on the ship didn't know his identity? As Changping still needed to introduce him. The introduction would instead cause the beauty to be disgusted. My little girl, Guxier, meets Mr. Kui. Guxier frowned and stood up slowly. She didn't like Kui Yong, and even had some disgust, but his identity made Guxier a little cautious and didn't dare to offend him too much. Therefore, after a simple sentence, Guxier stood up. Jier is a little unwell. I'll go back first. Mr. Kui, please don't blame me. Now Guxier just wants to escape from here as soon as possible. Kui Yong didn't stop him. This place has entered the scope of Chenshin Island. He has an extraordinary identity, but he doesn't dare to act rashly here. Although Guxier didn't say it clearly. She almost wrote the words, I don't want to know you on her face. This made Kui Yong feel a little embarrassed. His face was slightly gloomy, as the young master of the Kui family. There are countless women who stick to him on weekdays. There are not many women who can make him take the initiative, but he didn't expect that he took the initiative to approach her, and thought he was being polite. But this was the result. After being rejected, Kui Yong, who was a little angry, began to gradually reveal his true nature. Even Master Kui doesn't care about her. This Guxier is quite arrogant. I guess the power behind her is very extraordinary. A charming woman next to Kui Yong said sarcastically she wanted to stick to Kui Yong. But Master Kui looked down on her. Now that she saw Kui Yong taking the initiative to approach Guxier, she felt a little jealous. The most important thing was that Guxier looked like she didn't want to have too much contact with Kui Yong. This made her angry. It's her blessing that Master Kui likes her. She doesn't know how to appreciate it. Other supporters also mock. Kui Yong's expression eased a little. Asked Changping. She has a sister? I heard that she is also a disciple of Chenshin Pavilion. Since she doesn't take me seriously, I guess her sister must have given her a lot of confidence. In Chenshin Pavilion, she is probably not an ordinary disciple, right? Changping sneered and hurriedly explained. What? Master Kui, you think too much. She has a sister in Chenshin Pavilion, but she is just an outer disciple. Moreover, she was able to enter Chenshin Pavilion because her father gave her a lot of thing. Puff. What? Outer disciple. I thought she was so awesome. Is this the confidence she had to reject Master Kui? It's so funny. Half a day later, the ship that Guxier was on docked at Chengjian Island. For the next half day, Guxier never dared to leave the room again. As soon as the ship docked, several people hurriedly got off the ship. They found an inn on the island and stayed there temporarily. Although Chengjian Island was controlled by Chengjian Pavilion, there were not only Chengjian Pavilion disciples on the island, but also many cities. They lived and worked in Chengjian Pavilion in peace and contentment. Guxier did not forget the instructions of her father Guqian. Before the Chengjian Pavilion's recruitment ceremony began, she went to the Chengjian Pavilion mountain gate in advance at the foot of the mountain. Guxier looked at the Chengjian Pavilion disciples coming and going. Their faces were full of confidence and excitement. Not long ago, they were still disciples of the Half-King sect. The disciples of the Half-King sect were naturally not bad, but looking at the entire Wanyao Nanhai, they could be said to be a lot. You know, some Half-King sects have tens of thousands of disciples alone, which is many times that of Chengjian Pavilion. When walking outside, the Half-King sect actually doesn't have much face. If you meet someone who is also a disciple of the Half-King force, they won't give you any face at all, and they are not afraid of offending you. But now it's different. The King Force. How many King Forces are there in the entire Wanyao Nanhai? The disciples of Chenshin Pavilion never thought that there would be a day when they would become disciples of the King Force. This is really a difference of one word. A world of difference. Especially some of the outer disciples of Chenshin Pavilion, who were not valued by their families. But after Chenshin Pavilion was promoted to the King Force, even the patriarchs of their families were very polite to them. Former enemies sent gifts one after another, seeking reconciliation. This is the deterrent power of the King Force. Even if it is just an outer disciple, it is enough to make many people dare not offend. This is also the reason why so many people come to participate in the Chenshin Pavilion's recruitment ceremony to try their luck. Once you become a disciple of Chenshin Pavilion, for some people, it is really a step to heaven. Guxier stood at the foot of the mountain gate, pacing back and forth, attracting the attention of many Chengjian Pavilion disciples. It was because this young girl was so beautiful. Guxier wanted to find someone to ask about her sister, but she was a little nervous and afraid. This senior sister? Finally, Guxier, whose palms were about to sweat, finally mustered up the courage and stopped a female disciple of Chengjian Pavilion who was walking towards the mountain gate. This female disciple of Chengjian Pavilion was in a hurry to go back to hand in the task, and was suddenly stopped by someone, which made her a little unhappy. When she saw that the person who stopped her was not a disciple of Chengjian Pavilion, her tone was even more impatient. Guxier was startled by the tone, and suddenly panicked. she said weakly. This sister. I'm here to look for someone. My sister is a disciple of Chenshin Pavilion. Her name is Gu Qing'er. I wonder if you know her? After saying this, Gu Sire couldn't help shrinking her head and looked at the female disciple nervously. I don't know any Gu... Wait, who are you talking about? The female disciple was in a hurry to go back and hand in the task. She subconsciously wanted to shake off Gushir and leave quickly. But soon she found something wrong. What did she say her sister's name was? Gu Qing'er. Do you know her sister? Can you help me tell her a message? Just say her sister is looking for her. After saying this, Gushir was afraid that the female disciple would refuse. So she quickly took out a bag of spirit stones from her arms, which seemed to have dozens of pieces, and handed it directly to her. This is a small token of my thoughts. The Gu family is not a big family, and this small bag of spirit stones is not a small amount for Gushir and even the Gu family. The female disciple did not reach out to take it, but shook her head. She was a little confused. Is your sister really called Gu Qing'er? Are you sure you didn't say it wrong? What's your name? My sister is called Gu Qing'er. My name is Gushir. It's not that she doesn't believe it, but... Suddenly, someone stopped her and said that she was the saint's sister. This, no matter who it was, it would be hard to believe, especially since Gushir looked beautiful, but she was timid and didn't seem to come from a big family. How could she be a sister of the saint? As she was talking, the female disciple suddenly remembered something. The saint seemed to have been an outer disciple before, and was later promoted to the saint. So, it's not impossible. Gu Qing'er, Gu Sire. At this moment, the look in the female disciple's eyes when she looked at Gushir changed, and her attitude also took a 180-degree turn. She changed her previous impatience, smiled and took Gushir's hand, and said, I know her. Of course I know her. Sister Jir, come with me. I will take you to the sex welcoming hall, and then help you to invite Her Highness the Saint. Gushir was pulled by her, and her little head was a little confused. The attitude of this senior sister, it changed too quickly, right? Is she really the same person as before? And what about the saint? Sister, are you mistaken? My sister is just an outer disciple of Chenshin Pavilion, not the saint lady. Gushir felt that this sister must have made a mistake. Her sister is not a saint lady, outer disciple. That's even more correct. She was not completely sure before, but now, the female disciple can be sure that this Gushir is the saint lady's sister, Rui-er. When the two came to a corner, a voice suddenly came. The person who came was a woman, about 30 years old, and her identity seemed a little unusual. Master, the female disciple screamed when she saw the person coming, and was a little flustered. The female elder, who was called Master by the female disciple, frowned and said in a somewhat unhappy voice, I remember I told you that you should come to me as soon as you return to the sect. Where are you going? And you brought someone with you. Isn't she a disciple of Chenshin Pavilion? When she saw that the disciple was accompanied by Gu Ye, the female elder was even more dissatisfied. Not coming to hand in the task as soon as you return, and bringing someone who is not from Chenshin Pavilion back casually. How can it be? Seeing that the master was about to get angry, Ruyer hurriedly explained, Master, I wanted to find you as soon as I returned to the sect, but something unexpected happened. Although this little sister is not a disciple of my Chenshin Pavilion, she is the sister of Her Highness the Saint. Hearing this, the anger on the face of the female elder also dissipated a lot, and she looked at Gushir with some surprise. Are you the sister of Her Highness the Saint? Chenshin Pavilion has not established a saint son or saint daughter for many years. Now that a new saint is appointed, the disciples of Chenshin Pavilion may not know why, but the elders know it very well. Because of her mysterious brother, that brother is the real master of Chenshin Pavilion now. It was also him who made Chenshin Pavilion advance from a semi-king force to a king-level sect. Although Gu Qing'er is only a saint, her status is much higher than that of the elders. Even the Pavilion Master is very polite to her. Strictly speaking, the status of Her Highness the Saint is higher than that of the Pavilion Master, because she is the sister of that person. Looking carefully, Gu Sire and Gu Qing'er really look a bit similar. The attitude of the female elder also eased instantly. So that's the case. I know. You go and inform Her Highness the Saint. I will personally receive Her Highness's sister. Yes, Master. In the reception hall, Gu Sire sat on the VIP chair, feeling a little uneasy. Until now, she still doesn't believe it. What if I recognize the wrong person later? But Gushir's so-called worry soon disappeared without a trace when Gu Qing'er, no, sister, appeared outside the gate of the sect's reception hall. Gu Sire's rosy little mouth opened slightly, with shock and confusion in her eyes, and at the same time, she was completely relieved. The female elder next to Gu Ye saw Gu Qing'er coming and hurriedly stood up. Your Highness the Saint, sister, Xiao Shir. The two sisters hugged each other tightly, and Ryer and the others consciously retreated. Sire, why are you here? Are you here alone? Where's Dad? After letting go of Gushir, Gu Qing'er asked. Before Gu Changqing went into seclusion, he told her that if she missed home, she didn't have to wait for him to come out. She could go back first. But Gu Qing'er insisted on waiting for Gu Changqing to come out and go back to Gu's home in Wangqin Island with Gu Changqing. But she didn't expect that her sister would come to her before she went back. This was not within her expectations. Gu Sire shook her head. I'm not here alone. There are also the third elders. We are here to participate in the Chengxin Pavilion's recruitment ceremony. Gu Qing'er was stunned and smiled a little. Why does my own sister need to take any assessment test? It's just a matter of one word. But sister, how did you become the saint of Chengxin Pavilion? Didn't you write a letter home half a year ago saying that you were striving for a seat in the inner sect? Gusire's little head was filled with big doubts. Saint. These two words had a huge impact on her. Outer sect. Inner sect. Core. True teaching. And above that, the saint maiden. What happened to my sister? What made her directly promoted from an outer sect disciple to a saint maiden? It's a long story. I'll tell you slowly. Then, Gu Qinger patiently explained to Gusire, including how she met Gu Changqing and what happened during the days she was with Gu Changqing. After listening, Gusire's heart was already filled with shock. At the age of 20, King Realm. With his own strength, he created a king-level force and helped the master of Chengxin Pavilion to advance to the King Realm. Gusire seemed to be listening to a heavenly book. This brother who has the same blood as them. Isn't he too evil? Gusire's curiosity about Gu Changqing has reached its peak. She really wants to see if this brother Changqing has 3 heads and 6 arms. Otherwise, how can he be so evil? The recruitment ceremony is about to begin. Sure. Go back and meet up with the third elders first. As for the assessment, don't worry. I will find the assessment elder and let you enter the Chengxin Pavilion without the assessment. And it is the true teaching. It must be said that Gu Qinger has changed a lot in these days. This is what Gu Changqing asked. Gu Changqing has always told her, you are now the saint of Chengxin Pavilion. In terms of status, you are higher than the master of Chengxin Pavilion. A saint should act like a saint. You can't be as submissive as before. And Gu Qinger has indeed changed a lot since then. No need for assessment. And you will be the true teaching as soon as you enter. Sister, is this true? When she was on the ship, she envied Kui Yong for being able to enter Chengxin Pavilion directly without the assessment. Now, there is no need to envy. I can do it myself. Moreover, it is much stronger than Kui Yong. Once you enter the door, you will be able to receive the true teaching. Gusier naturally knows what the word true teaching means. Sister, can you still lie to me? Go ahead. I will also leave immediately to find the assessment elder. The recruitment ceremony is about to begin. Okay. Gu Xir excitedly left Chengxin Pavilion and quickly returned to the inn. She told the third elder and several children of the Gu family about this matter. At first, they were also very confused and even did not believe it. It was not until they saw the Chengxin Pavilion elder, who was arranged by Gu Qinger to come back with Gu Xir and was responsible for protecting her, that they had to believe it. On the other side, before the recruitment ceremony began, Kui Yong also found the Kui family's Taishang, who served as an elder in Chengxin Pavilion. Younger. You have already broken through the true spirit realm. Not bad, not bad. In this way, your chances of passing the assessment have also greatly increased. The novel was taken from the Rollies website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Kui family Taishang said kindly. But his words made Kui Young stunned. Pass the assessment. Taishang, don't I not need to take the assessment test? The Kui family Taishang stroked his beard and said, if it was before, it was indeed not necessary. But just yesterday, the pavilion master personally ordered that no elders or senior officials should be partial to each other, and no one should enter the Chengxin Pavilion through the back door. Although I am an elder of the Chengxin Pavilion, I am only an elder of the Chengxin Pavilion? So, whether you can enter the Chengxin Pavilion? Younger. Depends on you. The words of Kui Taishang made Kui Young look extremely ugly. How could this happen? He was bragging, and his followers and supporters all knew that he, Kui Yong, the young master Kui, could enter the Chengxin Pavilion without taking the assessment. But now, Younger. You have now broken through the realm of true spirit, and the probability of successfully passing the assessment test is still very high. Don't be discouraged. I believe in you. The ancestor. You. Kui Taishang was helpless. This was the order of the pavilion master, and he had no other choice. Kui Young's expression at this moment was uglier than crying. This was not the point. The point was that he had boasted too much. If his followers knew that he also had to take the test, where would he put his face? Taishang. Is there really no other way? Kui Young was still a little unwilling. Kui Taishang shook his head. No. Kui Young could only leave in disappointment. At noon, the Chengxin Pavilion's recruitment ceremony officially began. The Sect Square at the foot of the mountain gate was crowded with geniuses from the Langxi Islands and even outside the islands. They were ready to show their skills in the next assessment test. During the assessment, if you perform well, you may have the opportunity to directly advance to the inner sect, or even be accepted as a disciple by the elders. The children of the Gu family looked around and couldn't help feeling a little emotional. Look, isn't that Kui Yong? Master Kui, a member of the Gu family, pointed at Kui Yong, who was not looking very happy. Not far away, although his followers and supporters were still by his side. They no longer had the enthusiasm they had in the past. After learning that Kui Young also had to take the test and could not enter Chengxin Pavilion directly, they were no longer so enthusiastic about Kui Young. Even Kui Young himself could not skip the test and enter Chengxin Pavilion directly, let alone help them. Not long ago, they were still envious of Kui Young. Now, it should be Kui Young's turn to envy them, right? The Taishang of Kui Young's clan was just an elder of Chengxin Pavilion. Even if he could get him into Chengxin Pavilion without taking the test, he would only be an outer disciple or an inner disciple, and they will go straight into the true teachings next. Until now, several people still feel a little unreal. Kui Young also noticed the Gu family at this time. but he didn't pay too much attention. Originally, he planned to continue pursuing Gushir after going to the island. He was really moved by Gushir, but since he learned that he also had to take the assessment test, he no longer had the heart to care about love. Next, he had to think about how to pass the test. Taisheng said that as long as he could pass the test, he could accept him as a disciple as an elder and give him the status of an inner disciple. It's 3/4 of noon. Next, this elder will announce the assessment rules. Everyone, be silent. A bell rang through the entire Chengxin Pavilion mountain gate, and an elder stepped out of the Chengxin Pavilion and announced. At this moment, everyone fell silent. The chief elder in charge of the assessment test was the second elder of the Chengxin Pavilion, a 9th level expert in the Calamity Realm. At this time, everyone's eyes were also focused on the second elder, waiting for the next step. But before the assessment, this elder will announce one thing first. Next, I will read out a few names, and those who are read out, step out. You do not need to pass 3 rounds of assessment tests, and you can directly advance Guxir, Guyang, Guzichu, Gulingyu,